Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Welcome to our podcast. Before we start the podcast, let's introduce ourselves first. My name is Fatiha Rahmawati, and of course, I'm not alone here. I'm with two friends, special. The first is
Hi, my name is Rosdaminda.
and
Hi, my name is Miza Amrina. And Fatiha, what we going to talk in this podcast today?
okay, well, anyway, we are going to talk about feminism and patriarchy in film Kartini by Hanu Bramantyo. I'm curious how the story goes on, so everyone, stay tuned to the podcast Women Talks. Okay, before we start to discuss about feminism and patriarchy in film Kartini, let's know what the feminism and patriarchy are. What do you think about feminism and patriarchy, Rishda?
My opinion, feminism is a set of social movement, political movement, and ideological that share in the common of goal of defining, establishing, and achieving gender equality in political, economic, personal, and social spheres. Feminism incorporates the position that society priorities the male point of view and that women are treated unfairly within that society.
I think not only that, Rosdaminda, I think patriarchy is a social system that places men as the primary and dominating power holders in role of political leadership, moral authority, social right, and property control.
So, from your explanation, patriarchy and feminism are very two contradictory things. So they are opposite like that in the view of feminism. Patriarchy culture is a discriminatory and highly disadvantaged social system for women that is unconsciously passed down to from generation to generation.
Yes, obviously, in the film of Kartini, played by Dian Sastrowidoyo, who grows up seeing her mother, Nasirah, that become an outcast in her own home. This happened because she did not have a royal blood and become a servant. The father's name, Raden Sosyaningrat, who is really loved Kartini, is powerless against tradition that have been passed down from generation to generation. Throughout her life journey, Kartini fought for equal rights for all people, whether historics or not, especially the right or education for women, together with the sisters named Rukmini and Kardinah. Kartini fight to build schools for poor and create jobs for all Jepara people.
So we wonder how the history of feminism and patriarchy actually happened in that year. The film Kartini itself is very interesting because it was deliberately made with the Indonesian people who not forget the surface of R.A. Kartini struggle in equalizing the rights men on women.
I think, Fatiha, if we are going back to the initial discussion and looking at Japanese women through the lens of Western feminism, everything will be problematic. Japanese women will be considered exploited because they participate in organizing and doing household while earning money outside the home. Japanese women are claimed to be victims of men because in Java, men are made the head of the family. Even women's voice will not be heard because they lose to men who are already considered the head of the family. I think that's all.
And in my knowledge, Japanese men are accused being immoral for making women only serve their needs in the bed, like sexual things, kitchen like for cooking, and well like for cleaning. Then all the deeply embedded Japanese culture is blamed for being the society. Therefore, Western feminism would see that women emancipation in Java can only be achieved if Japanese women are willing to leave the Japanese culture that exploits them. Japanese women are encouraged when they want to gender equality to follow to the movement that have been designed by Western feminism. And then Japanese women must be willing to accept and apply the culture of Western women, which is considered the most moral and the most equal family finances, all activities, even decision making will inevitably involve women. Something like that, in my opinion.
Wow, impressive. Then, do the woman do a lot of work, something like that?
So Fatiha, if you say that women in Java do a lot of work, then I think that those who agree with this claim must be seen that Java is not that small. Japanese men will always try to do what they can for their wives. If the woman is cooking, especially in rural cultures that still use firewood, then the man will be in charge of starting and maintaining the fire so that it does not go out. And I think after the fire is stable, Japanese men will usually clean around the house and yard and water and the plant that Japanese men will then leave for the rice field until the wife comes with breakfast to serve her husband who is working in the fields. I think so on.
Yes, I agree with you, Lisa. And also in childcare, Japanese men also take part. If the wife is busy, the children will be babysat. That's the pattern. So if calculated from the workload, the burden owned by married Japanese men and women is the same. Therefore, the concept of Brian is an important concept, important foundation for regulating human relations in household. However, if it is all studied with Western feminism, it will be considered wrong. Japanese culture will not consider it a culture that exploits women because it does not conform to Western culture.
Okay, so Fariha, in your opinion, what was the patriarchal culture looks like during the year, especially in Java? According to my understanding, Japanese society is a social group that is considered to have practiced a strong patriarchal culture. I mean, so Fatiha, in this discussion, what do you think about it?
What I think, yes. I think according to Suhaji and Dermatoto, Japanese society is a social group that is considered to have practiced a strong patriarchal culture. A father is constructed to have unlimited power in the family, and sons are also prettiest in the family. The descendants of sons also have a special place compared to the descendants of daughters. This is reinforced by Islamic teachings that make women tend to be marginalized both in the domestic and public spheres. Stereotypes are image given by society to male figures as inseparable from the exciting culture. Various cultures inherent in society make difference in determining the typical male traits that seems to be honored. In most Indonesian cultures, men are associated with prominent or superior traits and characters in family, work, decision making, and problem solving. The culture that people understand about male traits and characters seems to be a reference to how a man should be. So for us, media, both traditional and modern culture rules and symbols, but the nature and character of man can be accepted by society. A man's leadership can be said to be good if he is right in making decisions and solving a problem.
So, Fatiha, does the patriarchal culture only privilege men? Like patriarchal culture in reality is often considered a culture that gives privilege to one gender, namely men, or also called patriarchal power that occurs in relation between men and women. I think in the concept of hegemony initiated by Gramsci, patriarchy that appears in all kinds of symbols that masculinity or is consciously reproduced in heritage by social and cultural institutions, including forms of hierarchy in the gender. What do you think?
Okay, in this discussion, you said that, so Daminka, I wanna ask question about it. Does the patriarchal society really always benefit men? Or we frequently hear the question, how come guys cry? Why do men dress in pink? Men must be strong and so on. So I think in the theory of masculine hegemony by Cornell, it states that masculine hegemony refers to gender statement or practice that support the continuation of patriarchal culture by giving men a privileged, dominant, and subordinate position of women, not only to women but also to men from certain groups. In the sense that is not in accordance with the dominant masculine concept, and not all humans, but who are male, get the masculine label on this level. Humans who are male but not masculine are the same as the other marginalized group. I think Marita said this woman. So we can conclude that patriarchal cultures do not always benefit men.
Oh well, it turns out to be very interesting, yes, guys. Our discussion about feminism and patriarchy, and how about feminism and patriarchy in the movie Kartini, Pizza and Ushta. Because in my opinion, in this film, it is described how in the 9th century in the land of Java, women could not be free. Their position was not equal to men. However, what is interesting is that the figure of Kartini in this film is described as a woman who is not only a figure of emancipation but also has a revolutionary spirit. The figure of Kartini in the film Kartini tries to get rid of tradition, elevate woman to get equal rights.
I think, of course, that's right. In the Kartini film, it's called the region of noble descent who married a noble woman who's called Raden Ayu, the region of daughters, whether from noble wives or not, must become Raden Ayu. When a woman wanted to become a Raden Ayu, I think she had to under this exclusion, being locked up in the house in her first menstruation to wait for noblemen to propose and make her their first, second, even third wife. I think that's called name is Pingitan, something like that.
Okay, and what do you think, Pizza?
Okay, I think Fatiha that women with Japanese are sarcastic reason when it was must undergo a period of seclusion. The seclusion period made Kartini very limited. I think she was forbidden to leave her house, complex learn how to squat properly, and do a body care. Women are considered as creatures that are gentle and must be graceful. I think, but care and squatting are the main things to do to respect their husband. Women are not allowed to continue their education at a time and so that they are not superior to their husband. That's I think that's what they the girls they do like that.
And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the movie of Kartini, Kartini was proposed by Joyo Adiningrat and she gave him condition, right?
Yes, exactly. Kartini was proposed by Joya Diningrat and gave four conditions. First, she didn't want to watch Joya feet when the wedding was being held. And second, she wants to be freed from the bonds of complicated manners and be treated as normal people. Third, it requires that the prospective husband will help build schools for women and the poor. Fourth, Kartini also wanted Yuasira, her mother, not to live in the back house anymore, but in the front house, and all of Romo's sons and daughters. To call Ashira as Mas Ajeng, mother, Kartini hoped the Raden Adipati Joya would not trigger conflict between families.
Uh, so I think Fatiha and Rushda in Japanese traditional marriage it has one condition such as washing the husband's feet, like that, something like that. In the household, they also have to use the Japanese language, which show that the wife must be afraid and obedient to her husband. Kartini refused all of that because she wants to be treated like her wife and didn't not be humbled and even from games. In Indonesia, there are still many who adhere to this patriarchal system, what seems to be the example that occurs in today's lifestyle. So, Fatiha and Rusha, what do you think?
I think in the examples are in household rooms, women are always required to be able to do various kinds of housework that are included in the domestic work, from cleaning to preparing food. If a woman is unable to carry out these demands, then she can be ostracized by the people around her. However, it is different from men in a patriarchal culture. Men are not required to do household chores, so when men do it, they tend to get compliments as if they are doing something extraordinary. Other example is in the realm of work, a woman cannot work with men's jobs, such as being a pilot and architect, which are currently dominated by men. So, sometimes there are still many who doubt the ability of women when they become or pilots or other jobs that are dominated by men. Actually, there are many examples, but will be a very long discussion. So I just can tell about it.
So how did the feminism happen in Indonesia and why does feminism exist, Rushda? I think because when we're talking about feminism, it's not just about the control of humans over other humans and or each other, but more than that, feminism is also a movement to fight for rights. One of its main goals is to remove women's work conditions on freedom and injustice. So, feminism is political movement that examines many aspects of human life, especially the injustice that women have long suffered. It was fought for by women who later gave birth to feminism and three waves. So, what do you think, Fatima?
Okay, Visa. As mentioned above, in its history, feminism is divided into three major waves, each of which negates and, of course, also complements each other. The three major waves include the first wave of feminism, which includes liberal feminism, radical feminism, anarchist feminism, Marxist feminism, and social feminism. And second wave includes existential feminism and genocentric feminism. The third wave includes postmodern feminism, multicultural feminism, global feminism, and ecofeminism with its many variations. Okay, and what do you say, Rusda?
Yeah, that's right. that's right. I've learned it too in my class. Wait a minute, I opened my console. Like this, in the first wave of feminism, the school of feminism included of more focus on political equality, especially on the fight for women's suffrage or emancipation on the political field. This early school of this early school of feminism began in 1792 until the 1960 with the writing of an 18th century philosopher and feminist named Mary Wollstonecraft. A work entitled The entitled of a vindication of the rights of women, Mary Wollstonecraft inspired the women's movement and struggle until it continued in the 20th century, whereas women succeed in the achieving their voting rights like political and in her book showed that women are not naturally inferior to men, but were seen such as only because they didn't even much education. She advocated for men and women to consider equal in the dimension, in every dimension of life, especially in the terms of social politics. And then, meanwhile, the second wave of feminism is more of a women liberation movement, or commonly known as women liberation. This movement, a revolutionary collective movement, as seen since the emergence in 116 until 119. It can be said that this period that can emerge as a reaction of women feminists to their dissatisfaction with various discriminatory practice. Moreover, it's known that legally, politically, it has actually been achieved by the first wave of feminism. But in practice, it was not fully realized. And then the third wave feminism, also known as post-feminism, like you told it before. This school began in 1980 until now. This school is very popular and used as a reference by modern feminists. However, there are many feminist figures who think that post-feminism is a good idea. So I think too much many ways here in feminism.
And also, Rusdat is mentioned earlier that third wave includes for school of feminism, postmodern feminism, multicultural feminism, global feminism, and equal feminism. Like each field of feminism and complement each other, postmodern feminism emphasizes that sex as the basis of its thinking, that reality is accessed whether in the form of spoken, seems to criticize the way men are produced through male language. So we can conclude, guys, feminism exists to remove women from a state for under freedom and injustice. Okay, what do you think, guys?
Yeah. I think so. I agree with you all, Biza and Rushda. And then we turn our last discussion about feminism in Islamic teachings. Earlier we mentioned in a little bit about Islamic teachings that make went to mentioned a little bit about Islamic teachings that make women tend to be marginalized. Well, what actually happening in Islamic teachings, Rushda?
Wait a minute. I think at the time of Prophet Muhammad, women were given their rights because there can be no obligation if not accompanied by the rights. The Quran mentioned in Al-Baqarah verses 228, which means and women have rights in proportion to their duties in a manner that is just. And the above verse is an announcement from the Quran regarding women's rights, taking the quote from the book Women Perempuan by Quraish Shihab. He argues that to realize the dignity and independence of women and to maintain their rights, nature, and identity, women must not only feel themselves equal to women, but more than that, women must prove this to their abilities in the real world. And Islam has from the beginning emphasized that women are not equal to men, and I think that in Surah Ali Imran, verses 38, which mean men and women are created in pairs. Like this, like it is he who created the two partners, male and female, from the sperm when it is emanated in Surah An-Najm, verses 45 until 48. And then pairing is a similarity with the difference. Men and women are both creatures of God, creatures from the same of kind, from the sperm that eliminated from the feathers and then makes the ovum from the mothers. Wherever there are differences between the two differences that make men and women must complement each other so that each need the other. These differences, wait a minute. These differences also make that men and women must complement each other so that each needs the other. These differences also give us breadth to different guidance in the terms of differences and the same demands in the terms of their similarities. Like that.
I think Baruja, yes, on the basis of the difference, Fatiha, there are difference in the demands and provision of the law, each of which is adjusted to the nature and identity, function and role expected of identity, function and roles expect of it. So, both man and woman, this is for the sake of receiving mutual benefit in this world and hereafter. Okay, so I think in inheritance right, a son share is equal to daughter shares. This is clearly stated in the Quran Surah An-Nisa, verse 11, and Al-Baqarah, verse 282. Also state that the testimony of woman is half that of men, almost the same as inheritance wisdom. The female testimony are equal one male testimony, I think.
Yes, you're right, Fiza and Nurushta. Again, the consent of the bride's guardian is required for marriage to be valid, but not for the groom. Not all scholars agree with this view, but with some caveats. One, it requires a guardian. According to the adherents of this view, a woman does not have the authority to marry herself or anyone else, nor can she authorize anyone other than her guardian to marry her. And secondly, it is permissible for a woman to marry as long as she has the permission of her guardian. And the third, it is it is permissible for a woman to give herself in marriage or to delegate it to someone else to give her in marriage. And fourthly, the guardian's consent is only required for virgins while widows may marry themselves. Something like that.
Furthermore, there is the obligation of iddah for women in Islam, right, Fatiha? A woman who is left behind by her husband, whether by divorce or death, is obligate to undergo iddah, which is waiting for a certain period of the before marrying another man. The waiting period in line according to how she was left by her husband. As for men, the obligation of iddah is not stipulated for men in contracts women. This is so one of the effects that different between women and men in terms of sexuality. Male sexual stimulation are occur any time throughout Ida. This is one of the effects that difference between women and men in terms of sexuality. Male sexual stimulation can occur at any time throughout his life because men produce sperm and remain fertile from puberty until the end of their lives. The grace period or iddah period for men is a moral guidance that does need to be legally stipulated as the period and its obligatory nature as well. I think Fatiha. And Barja, what do you think?
Okay, then it's related to the reason why women are not allowed by majority of scholars in lead and men prayer. Although this is an issue is not agreed upon by all scholars, I think. It is possible that when women appear as imam and like as zaitun and men are behind them, it is possible that sexual stimulation or the at very least the lack of reference of men, especially I think wait a minute, especially when bowling and prostrating is demonstrated by women. I don't think so. In Islam, the right to divorce in a husband-wife relationship rests with the man. Basically, the claim of the rights to divorce written in the Quran is on the husband. However, Islam does not rule out the possibility to wives to seek divorce through the courts. Even the view of the Madam Hanafi, even a woman may stipulate in her marriage contract that divorce is within their authority and not that of her husband. This only applies if the husband agrees because the right was originally given by Allah to husband. Something like this.
Wow, very interesting, Rushda and Pizza. Okay, guys. Okay, friend. It turns out the gender equality and justice in Indonesia has been pioneered by R. Kartini and the movement for equal status between men and women, especially in the aspect of education, was started by R. Kartini as a form and resistance to the unfair treatment of women at the time. Feminism only rights for women's opportunity to take up space that are generally filled by men, but also fight for men's freedom to no longer follow masculinity standards. And then feminism does not have an agenda to eliminate that man's masculinity status, but it also free men to finally to be honest with our chosen gender expression, stereotypes, or standard image, which are labelings of one gender that are often negative and generally lead to unfair treatment. And then gender equality is one of human rights, the freedom to live honorably, free from fear and free to choose their own lives, not only for men. In essence, women also have the same opportunity. That is conclusion about our discussion today. Okay, finally, guys, I will say goodbye to Rushda and Pizza. Thank you for coming in my podcast and see you next time.
Okay, see you.
And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like, comments on the below.